Good day, sir. I am Florence Nicole Gonzaga, taking up Bachelor of Science in Electronics and Communications Engineering. And today I will be discussing the project summary by TL 2014. So while the project outline contains technical detail, the project team needs to convince the project assessment team that the project is worthy of funding. Often the assessment team consists of generalists who do not have specific detailed knowledge of the research topic and the analysis methods proposed in the project outline. The project teams need to provide a short, clear statement about how the project will benefit the organization and how it fits into the goals and objectives of the research field. So the summary can take many forms depending on your field. This may look like an abstract, an artist statement, a synopsis of your written work, or an overview of your prototype, and entrepreneurial endeavor. So there are three types of project summary. First is your introduction. Start by sharing the problem, topic, or focus of your project. Include key information on the importance of the project, its purpose, and the gaps in the research the study is addressing. So in introduction, this is where are your research questions or goals and your thesis statement and the artistic intentions or motivations in forming the project. So next is the body. Move into what you've done to research, explore, study, and analyze your topic or engage in the creative endeavor. State your results or outcomes clearly. So the body, this is where you describe your results, your research methods, and or the steps you have taken to address the problem or the need. So this is where you describe your creative process and explain the outcomes of your products, of your creative endeavor. Next is the conclusion. So finish by explaining why your results are interesting, as well as what they mean to your field or discipline. Provide recommendations for the next steps or areas in need of further study. So in conclusion, this is how will you work the inform future creative endeavors, and these are the implications of your work, outline of how you contributed to the current state of knowledge and how can be done this kind of knowledge. So for example 3.2, a wider view of the research question. So an antenna team aims to design new antennas that will improve the range of small wireless sensors used in a nursing home. The assessment team from the research granting authority might want to know the current and intended application of the wireless sensors and how an increased range will improve the lives of aged people living independently. So project summary should include keywords to help survey existing research and competing technologies. So it should also clarify intellectual properties, ownership before the project begins, and if the finding of the body or host institution believes that the technology has commercial potential, agreements about market transition must be finalized in writing beforehand. So next is the 3.3, patent rights for student. So a PhD candidate makes a significant advance in semiconductor technology while being funded by a multinational company hosted by a state-run university who owns the patent rights to the invention. So patent rights in this situationship depend on the agreements in place rather than the student alone. So although the PhD candidate is the inventor and will be named on the patent, ownership is usually influenced by the university's intellectual property. So policy and funding contract with the company. Therefore, patent ownership is typically should or assigned based on pre-existing written agreements among the student, university, and the funding body. So next is the example 3.4, which is the intellectual property protection for students. So in most Australian universities, the student owns the intellectual property developed as part of a research project, while the student can commercialize the intellectual property independent of the university. So the contribution of the university supervisors, the university resources, and the funding company who suggested the project must be recognized. So the most students prefer that the university or company undertakes the commercialization of the IP, as the development and maintenance of an international patent is very expensive. So the list of investors of the patent includes the student and the university academics, when the company might own the patent, and the organization which seeks to commercialize the intellectual property will require written permission from each member of the invention team. So this usually takes the form of an assignment of rights contract. So the students may start as an intellectual property owners, but commercialization usually involves transferring rights with everyone's written agreement to an organization better equipped to manage patent and bring the invention to the market. So next is the 3.3.4 project outlined by TEL 2014. So like any research report discussed in Chapter 7, a project outline is expected to contain several sections. So the research question is usually introduced in the early section, early in the first section, so which covers the aims and relevance of the project, and one might then add a number of specific aims which clarifies the method of approach to be used. So next is the background section, should include a literature review along with a clear rationale showing that the proposed study will generate new, meaningful, and relevant knowledge. So this analysis might include some of the initial work published by the research team. This can include confidence in the assessment panel, reviewing the research application, and theoretical understanding, and the appropriate equations should be included where relevant, but only if the theory is relatively new or cannot be found in the standard textbook. So example 3.5, which is research questions examples. So research question is what is the effect of local flooding on aquifer salinity? So this aims to determine the permeability of the rock material between the surface and the aquifer, and to determine the thickness of the rock material above the aquifer, and to measure the aquifer salinity before, during, and after flood events. The next example, next research question is, when will a MEM-based silicon microswitch fail if it is exposed to the atmosphere? So this aims to measure the surface contamination of silicon exposed to the atmosphere, to measure the mechanical properties of a silicon beam when subjected to continued use, and to model the experimentally derived data using 3D multiphysics. So in the latter case, references of the basic theory are really sufficient. So the research methods must suit the research question and the research aim in a clear and logical way. So the type of measurement to be made, the potential difficulties which such measurement, the calibration procedures, and the use of standard measurement techniques should be made clear. So next is the delivering deliverables. So an understanding of an FEM modeling computer program is not a deliverable. The functional characteristics of a device determined from an FEM structure modeled using the programs is a deliverable. So this is about the difference between knowledge gain and measurable project outputs. So it means that learning how to use an FEM program is not a deliverable because it's just personal skill development. So what is deliverable is the actual results produced using the program, such as tested performance and functional characteristics of a device. So next example 3.7 is the research timeline. So in a research project, there is a long and unexpected delay in the delivery of a test instrument. The research team should have ensured that there are others allocated tasks to perform. These tasks should be clearly defined in the timelines of the project. So this example is a good project planning. It is important equipment like a test instrument is delayed. The research shouldn't come to a stop. So the research should have planned other tasks that they can work on the meantime, such as data analysis, simulations, literature review, or report writing. So this is important that timeline should include parallel or backup activities so progress can continue even when unexpected delays happen. Next is the 3.3.5, the budget by FEL 2014. So the budget will require cash and in-kind support. And the in-kind support is a list of resources available to the project which do not require direct financial support. So, for example, the host institution might continue to pay the salaries of existing staff who work on the project, and they might provide facilities such as space, electricity, internet access, computing support, and etc. without the need for additional funding. So, industry-funded research projects usually operate under different funding rules compared to government research grants and not-for-profit funded research. The financial arrangements will be project-specific and related to the reward structure of the research. So, for example of this is, if the research team can benefit from the research outcomes through the commercialization of patents and etc., they would be expected to share in some of the financial risk. For example, the host institution is expected to provide some funds for the project. So the value proposition when approaching an organization with a research proposal, whether seeking funding or not, it is important to know and understand what is important to the organization. So a simple way to do this is to imagine that the research team is making the funding decisions in response to the project proposal. So next is example 3.8, which is a funding model for industry research. So a research team estimates that the cost of an industry-funded project is $100,000. If the university is allowed to publish the research outcomes or gains a share in the intellectual property developed during the project, then the commercial enterprise and the university become the equal partner in the research. So, should the commercial partner wish to keep the research outcomes as commercial in confidence, then the university will charge a $200,000 for the project. So the additional $100,000 is over and above the project cost will be used by the university to fund other research projects not related to this project. In this way, the university researchers contribute to the university's performance indicators. So example is published research outcomes, and in addition, the university research team, often funded by the public money, does not undercut other research and development. So this example explains the two pricing models for industry. So if the university is allowed to publish results or share in the intellectual property, the project is treated as a partnership and the company pays the normal research which costs $100,000. But if the company wants the result kept fully confidential and owned privately, the university charges more, which is the $200,000, and the extra money helps fund other open research and ensure the university isn't fairly competing with private R&D companies that rely on profit. So next example is the 3.9 research contracts. So in some government-sponsored research and development grant-making schemes, it is mandatory that a commercial partner and the university sign an agreement to receive the funds. So the research proposal will require a three-way contract between the government research granting authority, the commercial enterprise, and the university research team. The budget will reflect the contributions from the commercial partner and the university in addition to the cash sought from the government grant-making authority. So, to receive funding, a universal and commercial company must formally partner and sign an agreement. In this way, the project is then governed by a three-contract between. So first is the government funding agency, the university, and the industry partner. So in short, government-funded industry research often requires formal collaboration, shared responsibility, and shared financial contribution. So example 3.10, which is the conflict of interest. So in some cases, the conflict of interest is clearly evident. For example, first is the research into the health effects of tobacco smoke is seen to be biased if funded by a tobacco corporation. And the next is the research into the effects of gambling on society might be seen to be biased if funded by a casino. And investigation into a bridge collapse is seen to be biased if conducted by the company that constructed the bridge. So these examples shows that research can be biased if funded by parties with a vested interest. So for instance, studies on tobacco, gambling, bridge safety, medical implants, or deforestation may be seen as unreliable if funded by companies that could benefit. So, any funding from interested parties must be disclosed in all reports and publications to maintain transparency. So, that would be all for my part.